Hi, my name's Sophia Nygaard. I'm a digital content creator primarily on YouTube, and right now we're in Silver Lake in Los Angeles.
I'm Adam Guest. I've been to 30 plus countries, I speak 9 languages, and my goal is to show you the coolest things in the world. These are my arcane adventures. So come on this journey and be reminded of the cool experiences we have waiting for us if we just choose to take the ride. Arcane Adventures isn't just about cool places and events around the world. It's also about interesting people who are doing unique things with their life. So in this episode, we're going to focus on a millennial who's doing digital content for YouTube full-time, and her name is Sophia Nygaard. You are originally from Chicago, right?
Yes, I am from Chicago.
And so you, like a lot of other people, you moved to LA to deal or to get into the industry of like media, different production. So tell us what made you make that decision?
So I went to school in Northern California for college, and my writing partner there, I made a web series in college, which I feel like is like a thing that people do in college. You make a web series with some friends in college. Yeah. And so I was writing with one of my fellow students at Stanford, and he just had an internship in LA, and I had nothing to do. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna be like subletting some random place like in mid-city, like, do you want to come down and we could just make another web series? Yeah. My plan was to stay in LA for the summer, make a web series with my friend, and then move back to Chicago because I didn't have to pay rent. I could live with my parents, and there's a decent amount of stuff, especially in theater, which is something I thought I wanted to do in Chicago. And I just ended up getting a job and getting an internship and getting a different internship and just I just had enough opportunities to kind of just stick around. I started working at BuzzFeed and sort of things took off in that direction and started doing a lot of work on YouTube. And so my plan was never to live in Los Angeles, but it just sort of happened, which is kind of cool. Yeah, very organic. So what are you working on now? What are some of your passion projects that you're excited about? So currently I'm working on a show called Ladylike at BuzzFeed, and it's basically we're a cast of women, we're a cast of ladies, ladylike, and we're testing what it means to be ladylike sort of through a modern lens. So we do a lot of sort of tryouts of beauty and style things, which are huge economies on YouTube, beauty and style is a huge chunk of YouTube videos, Yeah. We also try sort of other things as well, sort of gender bending things, or we'll try things that women aren't usually supposed to do, that kind of stuff. So that's sort of what I'm working on right now. I'm really interested in that beauty and style, lifestyle space on YouTube. I guess I never really thought about being on YouTube because it wasn't seen as a career until pretty recently, I think. Even though there obviously were people who were making livings on YouTube, but I didn't have any film training or anything. I majored in theater and creative writing in college. And so when I started on making that web series in college, I was learning everything from scratch. And before I started working at BuzzFeed, all my knowledge was just sort of piecemeal. It was I know how to do this, but if you ask me what an aperture is, I'm I don't know, And I think that I'm really grateful for BuzzFeed for teaching me a lot of stuff about just sort of filmmaking in general, because that's something that I didn't know about. So I'm just obsessed with YouTube, and that's that, and I just love YouTube so much.
With the experience that you've gotten here in LA, working for BuzzFeed and working on the other projects, do you feel comfortable moving forward and trying to make this your career? Is that something that you're pretty set in?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be in entertainment, whether it be YouTube or some other platform. I think digital is sort of where to be. Yeah. So absolutely. I'm interested in staying. For sure. So, tell us a little bit about LA. Obviously being from Chicago, that's completely different place. So what are some of the things you like about LA, or what are some things that took some getting used to? So when I first moved down to LA, I didn't understand how to explore because you can't really walk anywhere. My first day in LA, I was I'm gonna try and explore. So I walked down Wilshire from mid-city all the way to Brentwood basically, and there was no one else walking. And people thought I was crazy. I looked crazy. I was just sort of walking along no, destination, just looking at things, and people are what are you doing? Yeah. After, I think, a couple of months, you find places that you like, you figure out more about your neighborhood, you find little pockets of the city that you like. I think it's a really easy place to carve out a living for yourself. And I think that LA is more of a build your own city more than any other city I've ever been to.
What are some of your favorite areas in LA if you had to pick two?
I lived in Silver Lake for 2 years, and it's such a cool neighborhood, but it's not somewhere that I knew existed when I first moved down here. Here's the thing, I don't know if it's a good even tourist destination. I just really liked it as a place to live because it's got like a lot of character. It's got a lot of coffee shops. I love coffee. I'm drinking tea currently, but I promise you I love coffee. There's good hills, good workout, you know, just walking to and from places. And it's just like a very like laid back area of the city. And I think that a lot of people have a misconception that LA is like materialistic, you know, and superficial. And I think Silver Lake's definitely the complete opposite.
What's another spot in LA that's maybe not super well known that you think is pretty cool?
I don't know about not super well known, but my favorite beach. Because I think when you think of LA, like you kind of think it's all next to the beach. I spend very little time near the beach, but when I do go to the beach, I go to Manhattan Beach. I said beach like 8 times, but I think Manhattan Beach is like a cute small spot. The beach is so beautiful, and they've got a cute little aquarium at the end of a pier. I think Manhattan's like a little bit more turned down, just like cuter. Just like really cute spots, very walkable. I love it. I think it's the best.
What is some advice you would give to people who are maybe interested in becoming a YouTuber or working in production at a place like BuzzFeed or any other sort of media company out here? What advice would you give them?
My best piece of advice is to become a jack of all trades and try to make things on your own, even if, you know, the first few things you make aren't very good. Like I didn't have a lot of the words to say before I worked at BuzzFeed. Like I still sort of like knew how to operate a camera and knew how to operate like a boom mic and like those kinds of things, like sort of taught myself a little bit of how to edit. You kind of have to learn that and make sure you can make your own stuff. And that's how you sort of can get some bargaining power and value. Even if like you don't necessarily have like a huge subscriber base, like you can start building a portfolio. You can start building a portfolio on your own without needing anyone else. And I think that that's something that is so cool about like the new media model is like people are just doing it themselves, and I think that's awesome, and it's so empowering and cool, you know, just to be able to do everything yourself without sort of having to go through traditional routes.
Shout out to Arcane Adventures. You heard it here.
Since our interview, Sophia has left BuzzFeed to go out on her own, and her channel has exploded. She now has over 1 million subscribers. She's an example of how following your dreams and hard work can really pay off.
Hey, I'm Adam Miguez with Arcane Adventures, and if you enjoyed the show, the biggest way to support us is to subscribe.